Facts. Hyperproteinemia is the medical term for the condition where there is lower than normal level of protein in the body or blood.
Like, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications to get informed of new episodes. You can also drop your comments in the comment section to let us know your thoughts on this matter.
So you have been eating the beans and the meat, drinking the soy milk and the milk, eating the eggs and the fish because they told you that these are protein-giving foods and that protein is very important to your body. But have you ever asked or tried to find out what this protein they have been telling you about is? Well, if you have not, today is the day to open your knowledge. So come closer, pay attention and listen very well. Proteins are biopolymeric macromolecules or structures which are composed of amino acids and sometimes other elements and are connected by peptide bonds. The English is too big, right? So let's break it down so that we can know what we are talking about. Now, biopolymeric molecules, when we say biopolymeric molecules, we are talking about polymers that are what? That are synthesized by living organisms internally or gotten from living materials. So in other words, that is to say that proteins is a polymer, a very large polymer that is what? That is produced within the body or produced by living organisms. That is what we are talking about. But now these polymers contain what? Amino acids as the building block. Now these amino acids are connected by peptide bonds. Peptide bonds are formed by a biochemical reaction that extracts a water molecule as it joins the amino group of one amino acid to the carboxyl group of a neighboring amino acid. Looking at the diagram on your screen will show you exactly just what I am talking about. Because if you should notice, there were two amino acids at the first place. Amino acid 1 and amino acid 2. And now when these two amino acids are bonded together with a peptide bond, they lost a total of one water molecule to form what? To form a polypeptide. That is what gives you a protein. Now, speaking of amino acids, it should be known that although there are hundreds of amino acids in existence, only 20 of them have been found to form proteins or have been found to be used by humans to form proteins. And these amino acids are called the 20 basic amino acids, which are what you can see on the screen. As you can see on the screen, these amino acids have been divided into 3 groups or 3 classes. Based on what? Based on the ability of the body to generate it. We have the essential amino acids, the non-essential amino acids, and the conditionally essential amino acids. The non-essential amino acids, there are just 5 of them in number, and they are termed so because of what? Because they can be generated within the body. The human body can generate it within itself. That is why they are called non-essential amino acids. The essential amino acids can be said to be the opposite of the what? Of the non-essential, in that they cannot be generated within the body. They cannot be made by the body, by the human body within itself. It should be noted that that plants are able to generate all known amino acids by themselves, unlike animal or human bodies. So therefore, since the body cannot generate this essential amino acid by itself, it needs to complement it by external dieting, which is to say the body usually needs to eat in order to supplement what? These amino acids. There are a total of just 9 amino acids that are classified under the essential amino acids. And lastly, let's come to the conditionally essential amino acids. These are the amino acids that under normal conditions, a healthy body should be able to do what? Should be able to generate it within itself. But then, under certain conditions such as starvation, age, or even inborn errors of metabolism, it becomes what? Essential. There are just 6 of them, and it can be seen on the screen. Back again to the proteins. We should understand that what? That a single amino acid cannot be said to be a protein. That is something that should be taken care of, that should be taken note of, because a lot of people do confuse it. They do think that one amino acid can be said to be a protein. No, a single amino acid cannot be said to be a protein. Instead, proteins are what are chains of amino acid. So for example, let's say that you have a single isoleucine. You cannot say that that isoleucine is a protein. It is not a protein, it is just one amino acid. But when they are more than one isoleucines and then they are joined together to form polypeptides, that is when you do what? That is when you get proteins. Proteins can be classified or grouped on different bases. It could be on the basis of the structure, basis of the function, basis of the location, basis of the composition, basis of conformation or shape, among other bases. But we'll be looking at the classification of proteins based on structure, shape, composition, and function. The classification of protein based on structure is due to the rearrangement of amino acids. Now, proteins can be classified into 4 different structures, which are the primary structure, the secondary structure, the tertiary structure, and the quaternary structure. The primary structure is the first and the least complex structure of proteins. It is a linear arrangement of what? Of the amino acids in chains by covalent linkages. The secondary structure occurs when the linear chains fold either into an alpha helical structure, which is a coiled structure, or a beta pleated structure, which is sheet structure, and contains hydrogen bonds. In other words, the secondary structure is formed by the folding and twisting of the what? Of the linear amino acid chain. The tertiary structure occurs from the interconnection of proteins into specific loops and bends and contains different bonds such as hydrogen, ionic, and disulfide bond. It can also be said to be formed when the folded or twisted amino acid chain folds again to form an even larger three-dimensional structure. And then lastly, the quaternary structure, which is the fourth and the last and also the most complex structure, is formed when the protein consists of more than one protein or peptide chain. The classification of proteins based on shape gives 2 groups of proteins, which are the fibrous proteins and the globular proteins. The fibrous proteins, which are also called scleroproteins, are proteins in which the polypeptide chains rise side by side, thereby giving it a fiber-like outlook. They are usually majorly composed of hydrophobic amino acids, and due to the fact that they are composed of hydrophobic amino acids, which are amino acids that are resistant to water, it means that they themselves then become insoluble in water. Their fiber form makes them very good structural proteins, providing external protection, support, and shape in invertebrates. It should be noted that fibrous proteins are usually composed of primary and secondary structures. The globular proteins, on the other hand, contain polypeptides that are coiled about themselves to form a compact and more or less spherical structure. They are generally soluble in water, and unlike the fibrous proteins that act as structural proteins, these globular proteins have other functions such as transporting, storage, etc. Example of these proteins can be seen on the screen. This then brings us to the classification of proteins based on their biological functions. The classification of proteins based on their biological functions groups proteins into the enzymes, the structural proteins, the hormonal proteins, the storage proteins, the immunoglobulins or antibodies, amongst others. talking about the enzymes, it should be taken note of that all known enzymes, apart from the ribozyme, which is a RNA enzyme, are all proteins. That is to say, every enzyme you have been hearing about from when you were little up to now, apart from the ribozyme, is a protein. Now, these proteins that serve as enzyme proteins are proteins with high catalytic powers. When we talk about catalytic power, we are talking about the ability to increase the rate of a reaction. So these proteins have the ability to increase the rate of any reaction they are involved in the body. And they increase this reaction by a factor of at least 10 raised to the power of 6. So you can imagine how much the reaction is increased. As for the structural function, proteins are called the what? Are called the building blocks of the body, which cannot overstress their importance. They are very important constituents of the structures in cells and tissues. And these proteins, which are structural proteins, can be found in what? In the outer membrane of all cells in the human body, which makes some of them the most abundant protein in the body, especially the collagen. These proteins help in the growth, development, healing, and repair of tissues. Now, take note that most structural, in fact, nearly all structural proteins are fibrous proteins. The proteins which are involved in the control or regulation of the cellular functions are the hormonal proteins. Most hormones are proteins. An example of such proteins can be seen on the screen. The storage proteins are the proteins that that reserve amino acids for the body until the body is ready to use it. It should be taken note that that proteins, the body do not reserve protein. The body do not do what? The body do not store protein. Instead, it converts the protein to glycogen and fat. What the body can store are amino acids. The immunoglobulins or antibodies are glycoproteins that do what? That recognize antigens that are on the surface of infectious agents such as virus, bacteria, etc. Their ability to travel through the bloodstream enables them to be utilized by the immune system. It should be noted that these proteins do not kill the antigens by themselves. Rather, what they do is that they immobilize the antigens and hold them in place. So that what will happen? So that the white blood cell can come and do what? And destroy these antigens. The examples of such proteins can be seen on the screen. Coming to the last classification of proteins that we'll be looking at in this episode, which is the classification of proteins based on composition. It can be grouped into three, which are the simple proteins, the conjugated proteins, and the derived proteins. The simple proteins, which can also be called the homoproteins, just as the name implies, are proteins that are singular in composition. In other words, let me tell you what I am trying to say. These are proteins that are only composed of just amino acids. That is to say, all the chains in the proteins only have amino acids and no extra molecules. The conjugated proteins, on the other hand, can be called the heteroproteins. And just like the name sounds, either you pick the conjugated or the hetero. Hetero means something that is more than one kind. Conjugated means it is joined together. So let us just say that conjugated proteins are those proteins that do what? That are characterized by non-amino acid substances and also the acid chains. So that is to say, you will be seeing the amino acid chain, and also in that chain you'll be seeing you'll be seeing substances that are not amino acids. Now, these substances that are not amino acids are known as the prosthetic group, as in something that is added, just an extension. You see, it is added. It is not the natural part of that thing. Examples of such proteins are the phosphoproteins, the nucleoproteins, the glycoproteins, lipoproteins. The nucleoproteins is an addition of what? Of nucleic acid and protein. The glycoprotein is an addition of carbohydrate and protein, while the lipoprotein is an addition of lipid and proteins. The derived proteins, which is the last form of what? Of classifying proteins by composition, are these proteins that are what? That are degradation products of what? Of simple or conjugated proteins. So when simple or conjugated proteins are hydrolyzed by acids, alkalis, or enzymes, what you then get are what we call the derived proteins. Examples of the derived proteins can be seen on the screen. So this is where the episode will be ending for now. We still have other things that we'll be dealing with on other episodes concerning proteins, such as the chemical and physical properties of proteins, the digestion and absorption of protein, and we'll also be looking at at amino acids properly to know how they form and how they do what and how they combine. So please like, subscribe, share, and also ensure that you turn on your notification so that you will be informed and alerted when a new episode comes out.